All right, everybody, welcome back to the Hometown Huddle podcast. We're excited to have you. Maybe a little bit of a shorter episode today and not our usual recording schedule. So this week is a little more complicated for recording and finding a guest because, well, I guess depending on when you're listening to this, for us tomorrow, the boys basketball team plays in the state quarterfinals, and it's at 9 p.m. So a lot of people traveling or watching that game tomorrow at 9. But we're going to do our best to kind of preview a little bit of the state tournament and then get some insider perspective from both Caleb and Corbin here, who had the opportunity to play in the state tournament in high school. So should be exciting. We don't have much of an agenda, but we're just going to go off the top of our heads and hopefully not ramble too much. But while I'm looking some stuff up here, let's hear from Caleb and Corbin. Tell us a little bit about what was the situation when you guys went to state, when you guys were in high school. Corbin, you're older, so maybe you can go first. What was it? What was your season like going into it?
Me go first. What do you want? You want some background? You want?
Yeah. What seed were you guys going in?
Yeah. What was kind of the story of the season leading into it?
I don't know if I could get as detailed as give you the seed we were, but I can tell you kind of what the overall feeling was for like the season in general, and then kind of how things went and how we got there. So I'll take it back. The year before, my junior year, that was the worst year that we had while I was in high school. So we did kind of a 180 flip to then obviously doing really well and taking fourth in state. So my junior year, our team we were pretty young, but we were all kind of experienced. So my sophomore year, we did really well. We made the playoffs. Owen Ellis was starting as a freshman. I was starting as a sophomore. Isaac Ellis starting as a sophomore. Caden Jenks was a junior. And then we had some guys on the bench that were playing a lot. Gage Christensen was a freshman. We were really young. So that my junior year, we were supposed to do really well. It was kind of a letdown that we didn't do well at all, right? We went, less than 500 in conference and didn't even make the playoffs, like I said. So coming into my senior year, everybody was then seniors and juniors that had been on both of those teams the 2 years prior. So we were supposed to be pretty good. But I don't think we thought we were going to be as good as we ended up being. A lot of that, though, was that Ray Valet got hired as the coach for my senior year. So he came in, and that was kind of a jolt of energy for us because of my junior year, of how big of a letdown it was. So Ray came in, sat down with all of us before the season started. And obviously, I think everybody knows we won state that year in football for the third year in a row. And it was kind of like, okay, do we really care about basketball, right? Like, whatever. But Ray came in, sat us down, and he was like, hey, I know exactly how you guys are feeling. I've been there, right? And I know you guys had a horrible year last year. You're all really athletic kids, competitive, driven. You want to win. Let's just go have fun. And I think we'll just figure it out as the year goes on. So I remember we came from years prior where we had just practiced these different offenses, kind of just drilled all of practice. We're doing drills and we're practicing offenses, implementing different stuff. To then with Ray, we just played pickup the whole time. Like the whole practices, we were just, we do drills and stuff, but then it was just, hey, let's just run and play basketball. And that transitioned really well into the games. So that year, we went 19 and, or not 19. I don't remember exactly what the number is, but in conference, we only lost one game at the end of the year. So we went almost undefeated in conference. We ended up beating a bunch of different teams, and we were seeded, I remember, really high going into playoffs. And so we have this incredible season. I want to say we had a 16-game winning streak. I don't know if Dad can chime in on that. I don't know if you remember.
I don't remember what it was, but it was something like that.
We had a pretty phenomenal year. And anyways, we do really well. We're all amped up. We go to the playoffs. And first game of playoffs, we lose to Natchez. it was the first or second game. I don't know if Dad remembers, but we
Second.
lose
I got it right here.
second game. Yeah. So who was the first game? LaSalle maybe at
LaSalle,
home.
yeah, beat them by
Yeah,
20.
Played LaSalle, dominated them at home. We've got all this momentum, right? We go and we lose to Natchez at Riverview. I remember, and that was pretty devastating. And so then we kind of had to fight. We went to what is it technically? It's not regionals. It's districts.
Yeah, so you guys had to beat
Walook.
Granger and then Walook,
Oh,
and
yeah,
then
we went
had
to
to do
Granger.
the regionals. Back then, I think it was called regionals. You had to win that to get into state, right?
No, the top 3 teams went to state. Yeah, so we ended up taking the 3rd spot because we beat Granger and then we beat Walook for the 3rd time that year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we played them the 3rd time, and that was a close game in Walook.
Yeah.
And we were the home team in Walook, which I remember confusing me because I looked up at the scoreboard and I was like, man, we're down freaking 10. And I was trying to run the floor. And we were up, and Ray's like, what are you even doing? Like,
yeah.
I forgot. So that was a funny tidbit. But, so we ended up beating Walook, took that 3rd spot, and then we went and played Bellevue Christian in Ellensburg for our regional game, or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
And we won that, and that was only for seeding. We were already in the state at that point.
Yeah.
But we beat Bellevue Christian, and then we went to the Sun Bowl. And I don't know what seed we walked in as, but once again, we were feeling really good.
Who'd you play that first game?
Northwest.
So we played the Northwest school.
Yep.
And I don't remember exactly what the background is with them, but I'm pretty sure, I want to say all boys school, maybe like their 2nd or 3rd year of even having the program.
Mm-hmm.
From like Seattle area. I don't know. It's all the West Side's all the same to me, but they were over from the West Side, and so I'll remember. I don't know what kind of high school kids are listening that'll be playing. We had played in a couple tournaments at the Sun Dome, which was extremely helpful. But no matter how much you play, like the whole state environment, and I don't get nervous, like hardly ever. I remember being pretty nervous before that state game, and I don't know what it was. I think it was just like, I don't know. Maybe it wasn't nervous. It was more just like excitement and anxious. But I remember going, and like stadium basketball is just so much different from, a little high school gym or anything, because you've got, it's massive. The floor is really small. At the Sun Dome, they come out and build the floor. There's like dead spots in it. It's so weird. It was like, I remember it being just so much different than what I had anticipated. You've got the massive arena, so the hoops are really small. Your depth perception's off. But anyways, we went out and we actually played really well. I randomly just watched that game the other day because I knew we were going to be having this podcast episode. And we played really well, but we missed probably 15 layups. And then towards the end of the game, I will take some blame. I fouled the kid shooting a 3, and they made the free throws to then go up by 3 and end up beating us by 3, the Northwest school. Mm-hmm. And in our state tournament, once you lost once, there was no route back into the state championship. So at that point, it was
just a consolation bracket.
Just playing to play. So we lost the Northwest school.
Mm-hmm.
And then we went and we kind of we played really well and kind of dominated Kingsway Christian, and then Kings beat them both by 10-15. To then take 4th place. And the ironic thing is that we ended up taking 4th place, and the Northwest school who had beat us took 5th place. So we ended up placing higher than them.
Because the way it works, and I think it's still this way in the WIAA, if you lose in the semifinals, instead of that the next game being the 3rd and 4th place game, it's the 3rd and 5th place game. So if you win your 3rd, you lose your 5th, which is weird, but yeah. So you guys, it says here you were the 4 seed in states, and went directly to the quarterfinals. So very similar to this year's Royal team, who was the 2 seed, right? But they're in the quarterfinals tomorrow. So
yeah, that makes sense.
Yep. And you guys, placed fourth. That was I think Royals' second time ever placing in state, and the first time in like 40 years or something like that. So yeah, quite the season. What were your your like the night before? You mentioned you got nervous. What was kind of your thoughts and feelings going into the tournament, like night before? You have the send off and stuff. Was that pretty cool? They did that today. These kids, it's maybe. I mean, you guys had send offs and stuff for state.
Right.
Like, yeah,
I
a
remember
lot of
the
these kids,
send-off.
it's like their 15th send off. So
Yeah. I remember the send off not being anything huge. I do remember it being like way less of a deal than state football was. Like state football was awesome. Felt like the whole world was there, but state basketball was like, hey, good luck. All right, sweet, we're out. So I do remember that. The night before, I mean, I say I was really nervous. I wasn't nervous until right before. The night before, we were just hanging out. We were pretty excited to be there. It was pretty fun for us, for a lot of different
now
reasons.
it says on here on Max Preps going back on their records that you guys played at 9 a.m. your first game. Is that right?
Probably.
So you guys played way early.
I don't even remember. I don't remember.
I think that's right because I remember we watched on NFHS at Grandma and Grandpa's house. I feel like it was pretty early for us. I mean, it would have only been 10 a.m. in Utah, but
right. Yeah, it could have been that.
But
early,
total opposite of the boys this year are playing at 9 p.m. A very different type thing. Did you guys have a late game at all in state, or was that when Caleb was in high school? Did you guys have a late game?
I know Caleb's was really late.
Mine was late.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think we had a late, and Caleb was there at mine too. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So Caleb, those late games when you're playing at 9 or 10 p.m. or something, what time did you guys play? Was it at 10?
We played in the 9 p.m. one.
The 9 p.m. one. So similar to what the boys are playing in tomorrow. What's that schedule like? Because you've never played ever in all of high school up to that point. You've played in a game that late at night. Like it's never
that late.
Yeah.
I remember Ray just telling us like we were in no rush to do anything.
Yeah.
I don't really remember a ton of it. It was kind of different. They wanted us to try and stay active throughout the day and stuff, but I do remember it getting to like 5 or 6 o'clock, and it's like, dang, I'm kind of tired. Like we've been up all day.
Yeah.
And that was just different. But I mean, you're always ready to.
Yeah. Did you try and like sleep in at all? Like stay up late and sleep in, or?
I think you had us stay up a little bit later and try and sleep in a little longer.
Yeah.
That way, we weren't just sitting around all day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
The Sun Dome, they just pack it. So for people who don't know or haven't been there, it's the 1As and the 2As, boys and girls, are at the Sun Dome in Yakima. They have 2 courts set up, and they're running games nonstop from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., just one after the other. So if you're a high school basketball fan, it's quite the experience because you can just go and sit there and watch, whatever that number of games is. I'm not doing math. It's 9 p.m. right now here. So the team that Royal's going to play tomorrow, either Chelan or the Bear Creek School, they tip off any second. So we might have some score updates on that throughout the thing here if we get the chance.
I'm trying to think of the scenarios, and I don't remember if it was just Caleb wanting to go to the state tournaments. Why
did you guys go a lot? Yeah, go watch.
We did.
We always did, yeah.
Yeah, Caleb was younger.
Well, Caleb, I mean, you got to think about it. People might not know this. Caleb was like the ultimate basketball guy when he was middle school, right? Like he didn't care about, maybe cared about football, but it wasn't the same. I remember coming home from college, he'd always be shooting. He would like clean up in the Papa shot, right, where you can go and shoot a free throw or 3-pointer for the 2-liter sodas at every varsity game. Everywhere we'd go, people would hand Caleb a bunch of dollars, and he'd just make 10 threes in a row. And then that year of Corbin's senior year, were you a freshman, Caleb?
Yeah, that was my freshman year.
So Caleb's averaging like 30 points a game on JV. And I think what had happened, if I remember this right, I think the varsity, you can only roster so many players going into state. So Caleb probably would have been on the team, but it was already full of guys, so he just had to sit on the bench in his street clothes, I remember. And he was not very happy about that, if I remember correctly.
I was looking through pictures the other day, and there's lots of pictures of Caleb not very happy
Yeah.
on the end of the bench.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should have been better about that. No, yeah, I got to be kind of in the background for Corbin's year that year. Like I traveled with the team for the tournament. We practiced, and
Yeah.
I got to be on the bench.
What
So
are
that
your
was really
memories
cool.
of that?
Of Corbin's?
Yeah. Do you remember
for me,
feeling?
it
Did you
wasn't-
guys feel like, hey, could we go win this? Or like, what were the thoughts?
I mean, I probably didn't think so.
Caleb was gonna be down there. Corbin, what'd you think?
I don't really think I thought that either, to be honest.
Yeah. I thought it was just pretty cool to be there. Well, because that was the year, like, Lyndon Christian, didn't they have that kid that went to, like, Michigan?
Yeah.
Like, there were some dudes in that tournament.
Mm-hmm. And they're everywhere. And it's maybe similar to this year. I don't know. This, I mean, looking from the outside in, it's like, I don't know. It's, I mean, hopeful maybe is the right word. And I think all year everybody's pointed to Annie Wright being this, like, unstoppable super team. Like, they got to the finals last year and lost on a buzzer beater. And returned, they didn't have a single senior and added a few more recruits or whatever. You know, they're the number one ranked team in Washington regardless of classification and blah, blah, blah. But that's kind of the beauty of basketball, I feel like, is anything can happen, you know? So, obviously, I think whatever happens, this has been the greatest season of Royal basketball up to this point, 25-1 or 26-1 or whatever. But it's just interesting. I just wonder what perspectives are. And you guys maybe are some of the only ones who really have a perspective of that or expectation. And so, I don't know. I hope they I think it'd just be cool to go. When was the last time we made it to the semifinals? Was it whenever that was, in the 80s, 70s? I don't even know.
78 was that one was.
Yeah, 78 is the last time we made it to the semifinals. That's crazy.
Yeah.
You know, so just a cool opportunity tomorrow to play in a really meaningful game, which is exciting.
It is. I have high expectations. This is, I mean, Annie Wright's obviously a good team, and I don't know that anybody's looking that far ahead already. I think it's just one game at a time. But man, we beat Zilla twice.
Yeah.
And just looking at some of these other, because we didn't really know how's the West Side going to stack up this year, because I don't know that anybody's really played across the state.
No, not really. And a lot of that comes from just the conferences, like the leagues and the districts, like being so big. Like you look at our league, it's got, you know, you can have 20 games or whatever. If you have, you know, 8 or 9 teams in your league, you're playing each of the other 8 teams twice. That's 16 games. Like you just don't have any time or room in your schedule to go schedule somebody across the state like you maybe would in other years. And like the Sun Dome Shootout and these other tournaments are like a chance to do that. We went, you know, Royal went and played in Boise and won that tournament, you know, beating a bunch of Idaho schools that are the same size as us, which is cool, really awesome.
Yeah.
So
just don't know.
Yeah.
And I think last week playing Meridian, going into that was kind of like, okay, Meridian comes from that Northwest League. Is that what they are?
Yeah.
Northwest, which is, I mean, that's Lyndon Christian. And that's probably the toughest league in the state, or one of. So it's kind of like, man, Meridian could be tough. This could be a real challenge. This will kind of show what we can do. And I wouldn't say we manhandled them, but we beat them pretty good. I think the negative parts of the game were things that we brought on ourselves, not so much that they were better than us. So I think, just looking at comparisons, I think we look pretty good.
Yeah, I agree. I think this Royal team especially, and I think a lot of this comes from Coach Jenks, just having worked with him, you know, a few years in basketball, is that defensive side of things. Like he knows his stuff and he coaches it and teaches it really well. And these guys, I feel like this team has really bought into that. Watching them against Meridian, they just had those guys in fits, and all their guys you never felt like Meridian could get into a groove. Even when they would find an extra passer, Royal would close down, you know, the space really quick, helping the helper, like just made it really tough to get like a real good open shot. They're having to make that second or third or even fourth extra pass, and there's not a lot of high school teams that can do that. So I think that's a big strength coming into this, because I think you even look at the past of a lot of these games. You see some lower scoring games sometime in the state tournament because it's just a different atmosphere. You're playing at weird times. You're playing 4 games in a row if you make it all the way to the last day, or 3 games in a row sometimes, right? If you get that first round bye, you play Thursday, Friday, Saturday all in a row. But if you're, you could be playing Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, so you get tired by the end, and if you can lean on those fundamentals, it makes a big difference. So I'm excited to see what happens with these guys. Corbin, what was your experience with that? You play, how many did you guys play? 3 days in a row?
Yeah, 3 days in a row.
And had you had, that's the other thing of being from Royal and playing basketball right after you win a state championship, is there's sometimes where you do have 3 games in a row, back to back to back in the regular season. Had you guys had anything like that leading up to the state tournament, or did you get them pretty spaced out during the season?
I was going to say that's the only time we could have was right at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
When we had to make up some of those games.
Yeah. You get 5 practices and go.
Yeah, I don't remember a stretch that year. Honestly, that year, that season was one of the funnest sports seasons that I had in high school because we were dominating and Ray was awesome. I genuinely had a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm looking at here. You guys didn't play 3 in a row ever until the end. So anyway, sorry, keep going.
Yeah, no, you're good. I was just gonna say, I don't remember any ever being physically beat up. I remember the year before being more that way, being exhausted, but that year was great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's see.
You had a little foot injury that kind of set you back a little, but not too much.
Oh.
Didn't keep you from dunking too many times, did it?
That's a great point. Oh, yeah. Yeah, no.
Football.
I was trying to dunk, and I was freaking looking like an idiot that whole year that I was doing.
You got a couple in the tournament, though, didn't you?
Yeah, by that time, my foot was healed, but first
good.
game of the season, we went to Goldendale, and I got rim checked on a fast break, and the whole right in front of their whole student section, they were laughing at me.
I have to preface this a little bit because I think it's pretty impressive. But going into Corbin's junior year, I told Corbin I'll give him $100 for every dunk.
Yeah.
Thinking, okay, maybe he'll get 1 or 2. Corbin had 9 dunks his senior year. So at the end of the season, I owed him $900. Ironically, a week after the season ends, Corbin backs the Yukon into the basketball pole in our yard, and it costs $926 to fix, so Corbin got no money.
He got lucky there. He only had to pay $26 for the Yukon crashing. Well, and then the next year, wasn't it grandma or somebody was like, I'll give you $100 per dunk, and then your foot was injured, so you got 1 dunk.
Yeah. What it was.
Yep.
Wouldn't it be nice to dunk, huh? Caleb, you ever dunked before?
One time on a mission.
There we go.
Lord blessed me.
Those New Mexico hoops, a little
Those
shorter.
9-foot church rims.
Yeah, helps. Yeah, good stuff. Well, I wish Chase was here to talk to us a little bit about this. He didn't play in state. He at least played in districts, which I never did, so that's good.
Yeah. Chase did, yeah.
Yeah, good
that
stuff.
was a pretty good year there, honestly.
Which one? Chase's senior year?
Yeah, Chase's senior year. That was a fun year.
What year was that?
Good team. Old team. 8 seniors.
Is that 14, 15?
Yeah.
13 and 9?
That's why my team, my sophomore year, was so young, is because
all those guys had, yeah. Yep. That's, fun stuff.
Okay, Caleb, give us the rundown of your...
Oh, yeah, let's talk about that.
Your sophomore year?
Junior, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
that was my sophomore year.
Oh, that you guys made it the next time? Okay, when you played.
Yeah, that was the next year. So, yeah, I was there a little bit for Corbin's senior year and kind of got to experience it. And then Corbin's senior year, there was quite a few juniors on that team. And so going into my sophomore year, we returned a lot of guys. Like Owen was back, Sawyer, Gage, Angel, all started. And so they were all pretty experienced, had played a lot. And Owen was really good that year. Owen and Sawyer, and I can't remember. We were pretty good all year. We split with Connell, and so we were like co-league champs.
11-1.
Yeah, what was our regular season record? Probably won 14 or 15 games.
You're 19-6 in the regular season. I don't know how many you won in the playoffs.
Yeah,
Like
I have
3.
no idea. We
So
won
yeah,
in the playoffs.
so probably like
But
16-6.
How did playoffs go that year?
So here it looks like you beat Natchez in the first round, then
Yep.
lost to Zilla by like 40. But I think didn't they win it that
goodness.
year?
They were really good that year. Yeah.
And then beat LaSalle to take third place, and then you guys had to play in the regional play-in or
Against
whatever.
Cascade Christian.
Yeah, and won that to get in, but your seed still wasn't high enough.
I think we were in 9.
Yeah, so you guys were in the loser out game like right away. So first round you had to win to get to the double elimination.
We were playing like in tonight's game.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Against Connell, who you were sharing the league championship with, who you'd split, so you were kind of like dead even with them.
Yeah, so we played that. Yeah, we played in the 9 p.m. Wednesday night game.
Yeah,
against Connell, and we'd split with them early in the season, and they were good.
Mm-hmm. You guys lost to them by 10 early in the season, and then beat them by 3 towards the end of the season
at home.
So they were close games. Oh yeah, that's the one you guys were down by like. Let's see if it still has like a box score on that.
Like 10 or 12.
Yeah,
with just a couple minutes.
Yeah, with a couple minutes, but like 30 at one point.
Yeah, maybe. I don't even remember.
I remember watching
when you played them at home.
Yeah, do you not remember that?
Wow, I don't remember.
They scored like 0 points. I've got it right here.
Probably scored 15 or 20 in the second half.
Yeah, so let's see. Yeah, down by at half. I guess not that much. 28-14, and then I think at one point I think like didn't score at all after the half, so we were down like almost like 40-14, and then outscored them by a bunch in the like fourth quarter, basically. Yeah, Owen just getting every rebound and just making threes, and then ended up winning by 3.
Yeah, I don't think I did very much.
And then anyway, the state game, how'd that one go when you actually played them in state?
Yeah, it was a really good game.
You're muffled. Can't hear anything you're saying.
Oh, sorry.
Sounds like you're underwater.
Finger of it. Yes, we played in the late game that time, and I mean we knew it was going to be a tough game against Connell, and then after that, I don't even think we knew who we could even play after that. We were just focused on that Connell game, and it was a good game the whole time. It came down to the last couple of minutes, and
came down to the last 6 seconds.
Yeah, it did. With like a minute left, maybe less than that, 30 seconds left. We had the ball advanced.
I just watched the clip the other day. You hit a 3 with like 35 seconds left to tie it up.
Was that? I don't know if it was to tie it. I think it was to get us.
Because then did they go hit a 3 or something? Because they won by 3.
They won by 3?
Yeah. Were you down by 6? I feel like it was like that. Like you were down by 6 and Caleb made a 3.
Maybe that's what it was.
And then you get the ball back and you have to hook up a 3 from the corner or something, I think is what it was.
Yeah, it was a timeout. I just watched the clip the other day. So we came out of the timeout, and I want to say there were 6 seconds left.
That was later. Yeah, I think
You're covering the mic again.
I think the 3 was with a couple minutes left because I turned it over with like 15, 20 seconds left. I remember that.
Yeah.
And they got the ball back, made free throws, and then we had to throw it all the way down the court. And then,
Yeah.
And then the last shot.
Yep.
And then I missed a 3 at the buzzer, and we lost.
Yeah, so Connell ended up getting worked in the next round by La Center, and then in the consolation bracket got worked by Bellevue Christian, so they didn't do much after that. Zilla Zilla was actually the 3 seed, barely beat Bellevue Christian, barely beat La Center, but on the other side of the bracket, there were like 2 huge upsets. So Kings and Kingsway Christian, who were 10 and 11 seeds, played each other in the semis. And so Zilla ends up getting into the finals and wins by like 30 in the finals against an 11 seed. So, yeah, that's how that one worked out.
I remember that,
Yeah, so.
Yeah, because that Kingsway Christian Corbin played the year before.
Yeah. Yeah, and they didn't score over 50 points in like the whole tournament, so they got through on a few things. And then number 1 seed Linden Christian ended up taking 4th because they lost to Kings by 20 something. Like Linden Christian was supposed to be crazy that year, and then Kings was the 10 seed and beat them by 20 something. So,
Oh dang.
yeah, which I mean just goes to show you anything can happen in the Sun Dome shootout, Hardwood Classic, whatever, blah 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 they want to call it. Which is exciting for Royal because I think that plays into our favor a little bit. It's a little different than something like football and stuff where it's like, okay, if you've been here and you can kind of just control everything a little more and that experience plays in it. And the experience definitely does play in for the Sun Dome thing. Not to say it doesn't, but I feel like you see a lot of teams do some interesting stuff in this. So I'm excited for tomorrow. It's going to be fun. Are you guys heading up there or down wherever? To Yakima, Dad? Caleb and
Yes,
Corbin,
I'm
not.
going.
Should be fun. Exciting.
Yeah, it will be fun.
Yeah. And then win or lose, they'll play the next day, which is cool. Let's hope it's a win and get into the semifinals. But all right, cool. Well, we appreciate everybody tuning in. Anything else to add, guys?
Good luck. Go Knights.
Yep.
Go Knights.
I think if there's any team that's got it, it's these guys.
Mm-hmm.
They're pretty freaking good watching.
Yep.
And that's tough for me to say because I've always been one to say that my teams were the best. Caleb knows that. I'm biased, but yeah, I think these guys are studs. I really, every time I come home, I get to play with them. We always try to set up something in the gym. I'd be lying if I said I haven't gotten worked a few times by those guys.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think these guys are far better than we ever were.
Yeah.
So this will be fun.
Pretty exciting weekends.
Yeah, and like just go out there. I think just don't be a deer in the headlights. Like go out there, play with confidence. I think they'll kill it.
Yep, I think so too. These guys never seem to be real shaken by anything in all my experience with this group.
I do think that's one thing with this group is they play confident.
And I think it's a combo of this senior group and the sophomore group. I've been able to coach them in different sports over the years, and it's kind of the same thing. The lights never seem too bright. They never seem to get too crazy hyped or too down on themselves. So I think it really bodes well for them heading into the next couple of days. So excited to see them do it. Okay. Cool. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. Maybe next week we'll have a guest or something, or we just won't plan anything and we'll just keep doing it like this. I don't know. Not very professional, but we're not professional. If somebody wants to sponsor us, then maybe we'll do a good job then. But until then, you get what you get. You get what you get. All right, guys. We will see you next week.